on. So welcome to Balancing Blood Alcohol. Alcohol is something consumed casually just about everywhere in the world, and it has its pros and its cons. So I have some concerns I want to air about alcohol, and then we'll go into some assumptions related to the formulas that we're going to use. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Zoom. Whoa, that got weird. I don't know how I did that. Okay, so concerns I have about alcohol. Alcohol is a poison. It is dangerous. Too much alcohol can lead to damage to yourself in many ways or damage to other people. In small quantities, it can lead to states of euphoria. In larger quantities, it can lead to alcohol poisoning. It can lead to vomiting. It can lead to you making stupid decisions and driving a car and hurting yourself or other people. So if you do use alcohol, use it with caution. There are some websites we'll take a look at that talk about dangers of alcohol. Something to think about. Alcohol consumption was one of the biggest problems in automobile accidents. That has been eclipsed by distracted drivers on cell phones, which are apparently now more dangerous than drinking and driving accidents. So two things to be wary of: alcohol and cell phones in the car. Let's see, assumptions about alcohol. We're going to count drinks when we do this. And not all drinks are created equal. So there's an idea of a standard drink. And a standard drink is like a 12-ounce can of regular beer, like a Bud or a Coors, which has 4 to 5% alcohol. A 6-ounce glass of wine. Wine tends to be about 12% alcohol. And in a standard drink, there are approximately 18 grams of pure alcohol. And a 1.5 ounce shot of alcohol like whiskey or vodka or gin has about that same amount. Okay, so standard drinks are typically a 4 to 5 alcohol, 4 or 5% by volume alcohol. Beer, 12 ounces, wine, 12 ounces at like 12%, no, 6 ounces at 12%. And a small shot. Mixed drinks are a whole nother thing, right? They have often lots of shots in them, and so they're crazy complicated. It depends on the mixed drink. Next thing about assumptions is a thing called BAC. That stands for blood alcohol content. It is a percentage. That percent is calculated by the ratio of grams of alcohol to grams of blood that you have. So if we counted the drinks you took, we figured out how many grams of alcohol that were in there based on the percent alcohol of the drink, and then we calculated how much blood is in your body, and we divide the alcohol in your system in grams, that's mass, divided by the mass of blood in your system, that leads to a percent BAC. So when we say things like there's a legal limit in Oregon, oops, I could spell limit today, there we go, of 0.08, sometimes we just say 0.08, right? So that's the slang for that. What that really means is this is 0.08 of a percent. Okay, so we normally leave off the percent that goes with the 0.08. 0.08 is slang. The proper way to read that is 0.08, literally, right? That's the tenths place, that's the hundredths place. It's really a percentage. What does percent mean? Percent means divide by 100. So that's 8 over 100. times 1 over 100, which is really 8 over 10,000. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So what that means is if you had 10,000 grams of blood in your body, which most of you don't, that's a lot of blood. You probably have like, what, 6,000 grams? Is that right? If I remember right. If you measured 8.08 on the BAC scale, that means for every 10,000 grams of blood, there's 8 grams of alcohol in someone's system. Okay, so that's what BAC means. We leave off the percent, but it really should be there. So it's a slightly deceptive number when we write it down like that. Okay, next thing about assumptions, and we'll do a calculation. Let's see, not ready for that one. Let's put another page. When someone consumes alcohol, they become, in various stages, drunk. Okay, what contributes to somebody being drunk? You guys help me out here. Either voice in or chat in. What contributes to somebody being drunk? What are the factors involved? Oh, come on, it's not morning anymore. Wake up, let's go, help me out. Unmute if you need to talk. Anyone? It looks like Alan's trying to say something, but I can't hear him. I can't hear. You're muted.
How much alcohol a drink has?
Yes, and I love that echo. All right, so let's call that number of drinks, and we'll pick that apart in a minute. Yeah, number of drinks is super important. Is that the only thing that matters? There are some facts and myths related to this. What else matters? Like
body weight.
Body weight, yeah, that matters. Body weight. Okay.
Your diet?
Diet. Okay. I think there's studies that to some degree that can matter. If like some people think if they drink some alcohol and then they eat some food, they're more sober. If one were to measure the alcohol in your system, whether you had food or not, it's not really going to change. However, if there's not food in your stomach, for example, when you're drinking, that means it takes a little more time for the alcohol to get in there. So the speed at which you drink kind of matters, but over like an hour or two, it doesn't matter. And I think over an hour or two, it doesn't matter too much. I mean, I think along with diet, like health. What's that? I heard a crazy echo. What they've consumed that day, okay. Health. How about experience? Does anybody think experience matters? Like, are you a regular drinker? Question mark. How about time? Whether you had 2 beers in an hour or 2 beers in 2 hours? So I think the most important we've accumulated so far are number of drinks and body weight, okay? Health, diet, what you ate that day, experience, time, maybe a little bit. Studies have shown those don't matter too much in terms of, say, mental acuity or reaction speed to things. All right, so let's look at a situation. And we're gonna run through the equation for this. So Gary, me, had 2 beers while watching Hamilton the musical with a friend. Should he drive home right after? If not, when? Okay, so what do we need to know about me? So first thing I'm going to throw up is an equation that's given in this lesson. So this lesson gives us an equation that says B for BAC, blood alcohol content, is equal to negative 0.015 times T plus this crazy fraction, 2.84 times the number of drinks, N, divided by W, which is weight, and G, which is gender. So just a couple things here. T is hours since first drink. N is number of standard drinks. W is body weight in pounds. Oops. There we go. And G is a gender factor. And G is either 0.68 for a male or 0.55 for a female. So if we're going to apply this equation to me, what types of things do you need to know? Anybody?
How much you weigh?
Okay, I weigh 150 pounds. All right, what else do we need to know about me?
Well, you're male and well, we don't know how regularly you drink.
I have a beer or two most days, but I rarely drink more than 3 beers in any one day. And it turns out that isn't part of this equation, so we can ignore that. It says I had 2 beers, so can we assume that N equals 2 here? I got some nods, yes. Answer, what kind of beer did you have, Gary? Oh, I like India Pale Ale, in case you were wondering and you want to have some delivered to my house. I take bribes, but they don't help. India Pale Ale. Okay, so Gary likes India Pale Ale, IPA. Turns out IPA is a bit stronger than your average Bud or Coors. IPAs tend to be about 7% alcohol. If a standard beer is 4% alcohol, or 5, somewhere in there, if I take 7 divided by, say, 4%, that equals 1.75. So the beer I was drinking is almost twice as strong as a regular beer. All right, so my N isn't really 2 if you ask a deeper question. Okay, so I'm gonna have to modify that and say it's really 2 times 1.75, which would be what? 3.5, if I got that right. I guess I better double check with a calculator. Anybody quicker with a calculator than me? Let's see, where's my calculator? I can't find it. Oh, I see somebody whipping out a calculator. Did I do that right? Is it 3.5?
Yeah, it's 3.5.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so really the IPA I had at my friend's house was a little stronger, so I should factor that in. So I really had those 2 beers count as 3.5 standard beers. Another thing to consider here is, should I drive home right after? Has anyone seen Hamilton the musical? I thought it was pretty good. I don't usually like musicals, but I had a blast. It's like 3 hours long with a little intermission in there. So let's say it was about 3 hours. So I'm going to put eventually we'll deal with T equals 3 hours. So the first thing I have to do to deal with this equation is I just want to focus on cleaning up this fraction right here. So that's what we'll do next. So if you could whip out your calculator and calculate what this fraction is for me at my Hamilton watching at my friend's house. So whip out a calculator with my information over here, my weights, my number of drinks, my gender factor. What is my fraction equal to? So we'll simplify this equation just a little bit. So if you think you know it, type it into the chat, what you think the value is, and then we'll compare. All right, so we're cleaning up Gary's equation. It's gonna look like this at the moment. I'm gonna leave T out of it for a minute and just deal with the fraction. And my fraction is gonna be 2.84 times 3.5 over 150 times 0.68. All right, do we have anybody chatting what the answer is there? Somebody help me out. Let me know you're alive.
How many decimal places do you need?
How about 4 decimal places?
4? Okay, I have 0.097, then rounded to 5.
Okay, anybody else get that? That sounds reasonable. No comment. Okay, I'm going to bring out my calculator just to double check. Often I use the Google calculator. So if you go to the Google homepage and you search and you just type in a calculation, it will whip out a calculator for you. So I'm just going to type 2.84 times 3.5 divided by, since the denominator is complicated, it has to have parentheses, 150 times 0.68, and I get the exact same number that Abby told us, rounded to the nearest, what's that, 10, 100,000, 10,000, it would be 0.975. I'm gonna double check that with the Desmos calculator because it's got a fraction button, which is kind of cool. Desmos Scientific. I also have this on my phone, which works pretty well. So I would say, hey, I got a fraction, and then in my fraction, I've got 2.84 on the top times 3.5. And then I want to get down to the denominator, and that should be 150 times 0.68. And I get the same exact number. Okay. So important thing for this class is you're a master of your calculator. I could also put this into a spreadsheet. I'll show that later. And I don't know if anybody noticed, I added a couple more videos to the playlist about using a calculator for this stuff and using a spreadsheet.
What do you round it to?
I chose to round to 4 decimal places in this case. Often in the problems, it's stated. If it's not stated, go to like 4 or 5 decimal places to be safe. Okay, 0.450. So there's probably a parentheses issue if you didn't get the 0.974. So again, in my Google calculator, often I put parentheses in the numerator just to be safe. 2.84 times 3.5, close the numerator, divide for a fraction, start the denominator with parentheses, 150 times, what was it, 0.68. And close the parentheses, equal, yeah. So for Gary's situation, that fraction should be equal to about 0.0975 if we go to 4 decimal places. All right, so back to the notebook. We got a number there. So this is my reduced equation with time left alone for a minute. So this is Gary's BAC for a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to make a table of values for time versus BAC. So time equals 0 here is a strange number since the time is supposed to start counting once I start drinking. So if I drank those 2 beers in a minute, then that's probably a little not realistic, but my BAC would be 0.0975, which is above the legal limit. If I went 1 hour later, then I would have to put a 1 in here for T. And so I'm going to plug that into my calculator and see what happens. So calculator, clear, negative, and be careful on your calculator whether your calculator has a negative button that's different from subtract. All right, so on my Google calculator, I get, let's suppose I drank those 2 beers within an hour, then at the end of that hour, my BAC would be 0.0825, still slightly above the legal limit, dangerous. 0.0, whoa, pen, 0.825. So let's do one more, let's check 3 hours later. So I'm gonna skip over 2 hours and jump to 3 hours later, see where I'm at. So repeating that calculation, it is, let's see, negative 0.015 times 3 hours later plus that fraction, which is about 0.0975. So 3 hours later, I have a BAC of about 5%. Sorry, let me say that right. 0.05%. So 0.525. So I just want to remind you what that means again. So although I just write 0.525 to 4 decimal places, that number really is a percent. So just a reminder, the actual meaning, and there'll be a homework question about this, is that that's 0.0525%. All right, but we usually leave off the percent when we mention the number of a BAC, blood alcohol content. All right, so at the end of Hamilton, do you think Gary's okay to drive home based on the law? Yes, he is. Okay, so I just want to show you something that relates different BAC social inhibition, which means I might say stupid stuff around my friend, attention control. So I would still be concerned about myself, just to be safe. I think that even in this level here, it's not, or it might be. And I'm not saying experience drinking and driving. I'm talking about driving experience, period. One more thing, and then we'll take a look at your stuff. So that's the next question. New page. BAC equals 0.03. Now, my guess is everybody here is really good at guessing and checking, so I'm going to skip that method. BAC, so that goes, I'm going to put that over here. What I want, just a T for time, and then I'm going to put that plus 0.0975 in there. And I want to solve this for T. This kind of thing is going to be in the prep for 3.3, which you need to do by tomorrow. So please don't forget that. So to solve this equation here for T, let's highlight that in red. Any thoughts on that?
Probably get rid of the negative.
Get this out of the way for a second. How is that negative connected? It is connected by a multiplication. To undo multiplication, you have to divide. The trick about dividing is you have to divide the whole side of the equation by negative 0.015. Same thing on that side. So I not only have to divide here, I also have to divide there, which actually complicates things a little bit. So usually that wouldn't be my first approach, but it is doable. All right, I'm gonna undo, rewind, rewind, rewind. Okay. I think the easiest thing to do is actually get rid of the plus by subtracting it away. So if I add a number and then subtract a number, those combine to be a 0, which adding a 0 is kind of doesn't do anything. So that means I'm just left with this. Now I have to do that same thing on the other side though, to keep things balanced. So over here I have to subtract 0.0975, and I think I'd rather do that on my calculator. So calculator please, what is 0.03 minus 0.0975? I didn't type that right, did I? I missed a 0. Got it. Negative 0.0675. Okay. Switch color. Now I think I'm ready to break that multiplication with the division because it's a simpler place to divide. And hopefully this is ringing a bell back from some previous life in a math class. Negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. And then I just got to figure out how many times 15 thousandths goes into 675 thousandths. So calculator, I just divide by negative 0.015. And I mentioned this in the video I posted the other day, that whenever you reach for your calculator, write down what you're doing before you touch the calculator. All right, so I get T is 4.5 hours. And again, that's hours. All right. So in words, I could say here, Gary's BAC after 2 beers, pen's being a little laggy here, beers, that kind of beer, and 4.5 hours will be about 0.03%. Okay, so remember the writing principle quiz I had you guys take the other day? So when I write an answer to a question like this, I want to try and stay as complete as possible so people don't have to look at the question and say, what the hell are you talking about? Like if I wrote, Gary should wait 4.5 hours. He should wait 4.5 hours for what? So let's see, is my sentence complete enough? Gary's BAC after 2 beers and 4.5 hours will be about 0.03%. I could say which he feels safe to drive at. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough right now because it has the initial information in there. Okay, so most of what we did here is what you're about to do. The only additional thing for this exercise, oops, get back here, would be I'm going to ask you to make a graph of this information. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch of mine here. The highest my BAC was about 0.097, right? So remember that fraction came out to 0.0975. If I rounded this to 1 decimal place, I would call it 0.1, and that was the highest my BAC was. So for my graph, I would call, like around the top of the graph, I would call it 0.1. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I call this 0.1, then this would be 0.09, 0.08, and so on. And then time we could mark out this way. Let's say that's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and let's put 5 hours right there. So originally my BAC was, let's see, 0.0975. That's going to be somewhere up here-ish. And then 1 hour later, what was mine? 0.08 something, 0.0825. So that point would be 1 hour later about here-ish, maybe slightly higher. And then let's see, what did I do? 3 hours later, which was 0.0525. 3 hours later is about here, maybe about there. And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3, this would be 0.03, which we just calculated. And that was 4.5 hours later. What do you notice about these points here that I just plotted that we calculated?
It's linear.
It's pretty darn linear, yeah. So just to check, I can grab my line tool here and drag through and say, yeah, this is pretty good. Around that, that's pretty close. Remember on the computer graphing tool, although our table has more than 2 points, the computer graphing tool only wants 2 points. So maybe on the computer graphing tool, I would have picked, oops, I would have picked like this point up there and maybe that point right there to plot, to show what my line was. Okay, so what I was hoping we would do next was split you all into groups to compare notes on lesson 3.2 online. Unlike the homework and the prep where you guys have slightly different problems, a lot of the lessons are identical for each of you, so you could work together and share answers. Sometimes on the lessons, I'll have an intro video. This is similar to what I just did with you. You could skip that intro video for now. Feel free to check it out later. Objectives here are to basically play with formulas and try and take some real situation and apply information to those formulas and see what we can figure out about what does the formula tell us. The formulas we're going to look at are mostly linear type formulas, but that kind of depends a little bit. And then this paragraph right here, you're definitely going to want to read that in detail at some point soon. This explains what BAC means, which I gave a couple of examples of earlier. It's a percent, even though we leave off the word percent or the symbol percent. So that's going to be important. Question 1 is pretty straightforward. Does drinking more affect your BAC? How does it affect it? Does waiting amount of time affect your BAC? If you wait more, will it affect your BAC? The next page is much more exciting. this is where we apply this equation right here. And I talked a little bit about what each of these letters means here on that previous slide we were playing with. If we have the case of a male student that has 3 beers and weighs 120 pounds, which of the letters up here are variables? Meaning, I don't know, they could change, right? So based on this information, which of those letters up there are variables? And then we're going to start trying to simplify the equation like we did my equation. We're going to calculate some values for BAC. We're going to answer a few more questions, and we're going to make a graph. And then answer a few more questions based on that. So if you just want to work on this alone, feel free to do your own thing, but I'm going to set up some groups right now. Does anybody have somebody they already want to work with that's online and not with them? Otherwise, I'm going to do random groups.
If I've already completed the assignment, do you still want me to go into a group?
If you think you might want to go in and help and talk to people about it, you can. Otherwise, you could check back into this session in about half an hour. Okay. Okay, so Mickey and Caitlin would like to join up. And Caitlin, you're here somewhere? Let's see, I don't remember. Are you already together? Is that what you're telling me? I don't see Caitlin's name up there. Alan and Jessica. William would like to work with. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out. There's a button here called breakout rooms. And I'm going to make, let's say, 5 rooms. And I'm going to do it manually. Okay, so room number 1, we've got, oh, Caitlin is there. Sorry, Caitlin. I see you now. Let's see. Mickey and Caitlin. All right. And then room number 2 is going to be William, Alan, Jessica, Alan, which Jessica, M. I think we have a couple of Jessicas. How many are here today? Just one, I think. All right. And then William. All right. And then, so we have Zach already completed it. All right. Okay.
Hey, can you put me in that group too?
Group 2, yeah. Jesus, group 2. Let's see, let me get back there. Jesus, okay. And then, let's see, I think those are the only requests. Oh, Tanner and Tanner. All right, so Tanner and Tanner. Are you guys like already in the same room or no? Oh, you already are together. All right, you're your own group. Anybody want to work with Tanner and Tanner?
I will.
Who is that? Alejandra, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Alejandra is going to join them. And then, all right, now we're going to just randomly do some stuff. Abby said she doesn't want to go in a group now. Allie, Grayson. Oh, what happened to Jesus? I thought I put you in a group. Let me try that again.
No, here.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. I accidentally put Jacob in there instead of Jesus. Oh, shit. Oh, this is crazy. I don't like the way these buttons work. Okay, I'm getting there. Hang on. All right, let me try that again. Jesus. Okay, got you in there. And then let's see who else said they were good. Was it Zach?
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Okay, you're done with it. Okay, so let me send these guys out and then I can chat with you all. Okay, so we're gonna do that and open all the rooms. Okay, go to your room, and if you need me, come back here. Have fun, good luck. And I forgot to stop the recording. I gotta put a note on the screen that says